Mr. Ibrahim talked about sustainability as a big buzzword, but this word we've been hearing for quite some time. It's not something new that we've been hearing. There was a lot of buzzwords that came and disappeared, like, for example, when we talk big data or blockchain. We started seeing them in the last 3 or 4 years in every presentation, and now we don't see them that much. It's not that they're not implemented. We're still living them, but we are, sustainability, it's been there for decades, and we're still hearing about it every day. In my view, the reason behind that is that we're not doing well with sustainability. We're still behind our peers from the other industries. We are lacking, as you can see on the screen, all these figures, whether we agree with them or not, but we're still one of the biggest consumer of energy among all the industries. We're the highest, one of the highest emitters of CO into the atmosphere. We can debate, as Dr. Ala said, that whether the global warming is happening because of our wrongdoing or because it's a cyclic and we're accelerating it. But in any case, we need to do something about it. We are seeing a lot of climate issues, climate disasters that's hitting us much more frequently. It's impacting our wildlife, it's impacting our own life, so we definitely need to work on it. There's a lot of regulations. Governments are putting a lot of money as well into these initiatives, and now they've started to question whether they're putting their money in the right place, because we're not seeing the results that we want. We need to see more and more results, more and more savings. And that's where comes the reporting and compliance and so on that we start seeing more and more required. So sustainability when we talk that I want a solution that helps me with sustainability, it's very, very complicated. It's first of all, it's a closed loop system. It's not that you do it once and it's done. It's not one system that I do my BMS system, for example, and that's it. I regulate my valves and actuators and put my inputs and outputs, and that's it. There's much, much more involved than that, including, for example, the scope 1 and 2, scope 3, where I'm getting my energy, the prices of the energy, even the behavior of the tenants. You see a lot of changes just because the tenants have changed. Even as small things as for example, the cleaning staff, how they react into the building. All that cannot be done with one system that is just rugged system. You need a system that thinks. You need AI to be implemented in your system. And that's where we present our sustainability solution. Just like SIBCA Connect, it implements AI into all the aspects. It thinks about everything, all the inputs that's coming from the different systems. Do I have electrical vehicles? What's happening with the charging? The prices of the electricity that I generate, the prices of the energy that I'm importing. All that is being put together to make the right solution. And again, it's an AI. You need to think about it. You need the building to be conscious of the decision that's made. And this is where the AI power comes. Now let's talk about the presentation. We said that we're going to talk about sustainability in healthcare and hospitality. Why these two specifically? One, because those are one of the most critical industries where you need to balance between the energy savings and health and comfort and safety of your, let's call them, tenants. This is where we need to focus. We need to find the right solution. Moreover, the investment is there. As you can see on the screen, $32 billion is being invested only in UAE in hospitality. We want to reach about 200,000 guest rooms, and that will bring UAE to the third largest guest rooms city in the world. So there's a lot of investment there. Now, why healthcare? Because we have more than 700 projects right now as we speak in healthcare running in UAE, and the investment is about $60 billion. So let's talk about hospitality. In hospitality, there is a lot of changes in the trend as well that's happening in the market right now. The first change in the trend is that who's staying in the hotel right now. Now we have Generation Z and the millennials that have a different concept, different expectation. No one cares about the fancy sofas anymore. No one cares if the curtains are embroidered or not. They want a bright place, very simple, minimalist, but at the same time, they have high expectation when it comes to technology. The they believe that they're entitled to be served the right technology in their room. They want to connect their devices. They want to have that very seamless. And this is how they rate the hotels right now. Plus, there's a lot of expectation from sustainability perspective. A recent example that's a true example that happened with me last week. You know the project in UAE, it's always, we take our sweet time to finish the specification and all these and agree on the contractual agreement, and then we need to deliver in the next day. So sometimes it's difficult when the system is customized, and we're discussing with the hotel operator, and he told me that I've started to lose people. I've lost 2 groups in the last 2 months just because our hotel is not sustainable. It's not marked as a sustainable hotel. So now it's driven as well by the customers themselves. And finally, the skilled labor shortage. After the pandemic, we lost a lot of the hospitality workers, technicians, and employees into other industries. And now when hospitality is booming again, it's very difficult to bring those people back. So this is something that not many people think about, but I've talked to a lot of our partners from hotels, and they're all having issues with that. Even from our system integrators as well, they're facing issues finding the right resource in the market. So how can Honeywell help? We have the Income solution. Income is a company that started in 1986 just for hospitality. It was built around hospitality. It's not a BMS that can do hospitality. It's not a low voltage system that can do hospitality. It is a hospitality solution that is always focusing on what's happening with the guest and how the guest is interacting with the room. This solution as well can give you multiple levels, and you can have from a very basic standalone thermostat to networkable thermostat to include the occupancy, integration with other systems in the building, and integrating all these systems together. And the savings can reach up to 40%. 40% is not less in the hospitality, so it's really, really good as long as you implement it in the right way. Now, if I'm a building operator, the last thing that I want to hear from my operations manager is that, hey, I managed to save you 40%, but we lost half of our customer because they're not comfortable, right? We need to balance between the two. We need to make sure that our customers are comfortable, but at the same time, we need to save energy. And this delicate balance is done through our dashboards. And again, as I mentioned, it's all about the guest experience. So if you see on the screen here, we track everything in the room, and we give very detailed report about what's happening. We track the behavior of the guest, and we can tell that the guest is not comfortable. Why? Because they've been changing the temperature in the room so often. They changed it 6 times in the last 2 hours. That means they're not able to reach the temperature they want. Or they've been waking up at night 4, 5, 6 times. So all that can be tracked, and we can decide what's happening in the room, and we can predict the complaints before they happen. And we can see trends, what's happening in those rooms, and try to fix them as soon as possible. So we always try to balance between, yes, saving up to 40%, but at the same time, make sure that our customers are very comfortable in their stay. So we can claim the 40%, we can claim whatever we want, of course, but we did a few case studies, and this one that you see on the screen, it's not done by us, it's done by the hotel themselves, and they put a standalone, like they split the hotel into 2 sections. One of them is a standalone EMS, so a standalone energy management solution, and the other one is networkable energy management solution. And from the baseline, which is no GRMS, they were able to save 27% when it comes to standalone EMS or energy management, and up to 57%, almost double the amount of energy they were able to save with integrating all these systems together. So it's reality. As Dr. Ala said, it's not that you need to invest in the system without a return. You will get the return, and much, much faster than you can expect. So let's talk about healthcare as well. It's even more difficult in healthcare because it's not about the comfort, it's about the safety. We have now multiple things that we need to think about. One of them is, of course, the life safety of what's happening in our patients. We need to make sure that they're very well taken care of. And we need to be very flexible because hospitals, they have always dynamics, especially maybe in our regions less, but in the West, they have a lot of dynamics movement within the hospital where you have the waiting areas turned into patients' rooms or waiting rooms or triage rooms and all this. And with all these changes, we need to make sure as well that we take care of the customers. And at the same time, energy in hospitals is very expensive. It costs us 2 to 3 times more than any standard building, which means energy matters as well. Now, this slide I really don't like, but it's reality. It shows you that about 7% of all the patients that stay in hospital will contract an infection because of the hospital. 7%. That's a lot. If you think about how many people stay in the hospital every day, 7% of those will contract. And this is not our suggestion, it's from the World Health Organization. 7% will contract infection. 1% of that, one person of that will die, unfortunately. How can we control infection? We need to isolate rooms. We need to pressurize rooms. Now, how many rooms, how many areas do you think that ASHRAE recommends they need to be pressurized? So we can talk about, for example, operating rooms. We can talk about isolation rooms. So few. When I saw this figure, I was shocked. It's 140 areas that we need to pressurize. Right now in our hospital, we pressurize maybe a couple, 2, 3, 4 max, but we need to pressurize 140 to control these infections. You can see on the screen almost every area, except some of the common areas, need to be pressurized. Pressurizing a room means a lot of energy consumption as well. Why? Because you're changing air. You need to keep on changing air till you reach the pressure level that you want. Now, let's compare between the normal VAV, which is commonly used in a hospital, and the Venturi technology, which is one of the inventions that Phoenix Controls provided to the market. If you compare between them, out of the bat, you'll say that, yeah, but the Venturi is about 30% more expensive than a VAV. That's a lot of money, 30%, especially if you have hundreds of those in a building or maybe thousands of those. But when you look at the installation cost of the Venturi as well versus the VAV, you'll see that that cost difference drops very quickly to about 3%. And again, all these numbers are not fictitious, are documented, and if anyone wants to get more details, I'll be more than happy to show you the calculation in dollars and cents. Not only that, the Venturi valves do not require any maintenance on the long run. There's no cleaning, there's no after installation calibration, they come pre-calibrated, they come with all the programming. So they're ready-made. You just put them in the ceiling. You have less duct work and metal sheet work, and you'll have your hospital much faster operating. This is a graph that shows the fluctuation. For example, I'm in a pressurized room, and a doctor came into the room, opened the door, and closed it back. So the VAV will try to manage the pressure, and you'll see, for example, the recommendation is 2.5 PA, and you'll see the fluctuation of the air pressure in the room till we achieve our target. This fluctuation requires that you need to change air, of course, in the room. And just the difference between the VAV and the Phoenix control is about 2 changes per hour. That translates only per room to between $2,000 to $4,000 a year per operating room. So that's, again, all documented, and we can talk about the energy consumption for that. So if you think about it, when installing the Venturi technology, it's not that we are limiting the infection because we are pressurizing the rooms much faster. We're saving a lot of energy as well. So we're becoming much more sustainable. This is a real example as well when we compared the consumption in 20 rooms, 20 patient rooms, and the cost, the installation cost, the operating cost. And you'll see that your return on investment is much faster with the Venturi. And of course, you're adding to that you have much less infection. So the 7% that we've talked about is dropping to 3 to 3.5. And now we launched a system that drops it to 0.5%. So the investment is well worth. Unfortunately, when we don't educate our healthcare provider, we end up talking only the initial costs. So we need to work together from consultants to contractors to system integrators to educate our healthcare provider on those aspects. Because it will impact our lives, it will impact our kids' life, and it will help with the sustainability as well. So that's about the healthcare in a nutshell. And then I wanted to introduce a product that can go into healthcare and sustainability and hospitality and other types of buildings, which is what we call the connected power. So this is a typical buildings, and that's based on the U.S. energy use report. You see that the HVAC is about 35%. Many might argue that in our region it's more like 50%, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about the plug loads. It's anywhere between 13 to 15% that none of us talk about it. We call it small loads. There's very small concentration on those. Not many people think about it. So we wanted to help with that because we have a lot of solution for HVAC, a lot of solution for lighting. We want to talk about plug loads as well. So we recently introduced a new solution called Connected Power. It might look very simple. It's a plug that you can control remotely. And you might say, so what? I mean, there's a lot of plugs that you can control remotely. It's not a big thing. However, this plug is not just controllable. You can measure the consumption per plug. And most importantly, and this is the feature that I believe is one of the most important features, is the safety. It measures the temperature on the plug itself. Most of the fire that we hear about is because of electric mass or overheating of a plug. This plug will measure the temperature, whether it reaches a certain point or the raise of temperature, can give an alarm, can disconnect the power. So it's virtually eliminate that risk because you cannot have overheating in the power. Moreover, you can group a lot of sockets together. You can control them. You can manage them. You can allow certain amount of level of consumption from that plug, and you can meter your tenants based on those. So this helps a lot with our ESGs because, again, plug load is still 15%. If you think about it, it's a lot of kilowatt hours. Now, in our region, I know that energy is not that expensive as we see, for example, in Europe or in the US. But recently we were discussing with one of our customers, big customers in Saudi, and he told me, don't talk to me about energy saving because I know that from a dollar perspective, it might not make a lot of sense, but from a kilowatt hour perspective, from a sustainability measure perspective, we'll be saving a lot. And this is how we build the case for them. So that's it about our connected power. I know I touched on multiple topics. I had 20 minutes to go through all that, but I'll be more than happy to discuss any of these topics in details whenever you want. Thank you very much.